Watch out for those little snakes.
Yeah.
And those little serpents that come and whisper in your ears. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
True.
It's not going to hurt you. Watch out for those snakes. Watch out for those coons.
Yeah.
As the pastor calls them, those guys that's hanging out only at nighttime.
Yeah.
Watch out for them, sisters. When they come and whisper in your ear, well, there ain't nothing wrong with doing it.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit. And what's it say?
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and
The
that
woman
it was pleasant to the eyes.
Looked at the tree and said, you know what? It looks all right.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anything is wrong with it. It became pleasant to her eyes.
Yes.
And what happened?
And a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat. And gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
And he did.
And the eyes of them both
And the eyes of them both were open. And what?
and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
You know, I'm at the position at the company, I'm the director of marketing and sales. I believe I'm good at my job. But I tell you, church, there is not a greater sales or marketer than Satan. He will tell you everything that you want to hear. He will show you everything that you want to see in order for you to buy some of his goods.
Yeah.
He told her, he said, you're not going to surely die. What's it say? And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth what?
For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened.
He knew exactly what she wanted to hear.
Yes.
And he told her that. Didn't matter how far away from the truth that it was, he told her that. Because he wanted her to buy of his goods.
Yeah.
Be careful for those serpents. Be careful of those snakes.
Amen.
They come and tell you everything that you want to hear in order to sell you something.
Yeah.
And what did it say?
And ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw what?
That the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof.
Took of the fruit.
And did eat.
And did eat that fruit that she knew she wasn't supposed to eat. And what did she do?
And gave also unto her husband with her.
She took some of that fruit that she had and gave it to her husband, and what?
And he did eat.
Remember now, church, is your decision the right choice?
All right.
Just suppose that they had not have eaten of that fruit. Sisters, you all wouldn't have to go through the hard times during the pregnancy, during child labor. Man, you wouldn't have to sweat when you're doing the work.
Amen.
You continue to read on in that chapter and you'll see that God placed different curses upon the snake.
Yeah.
He said, man is going to smash your head. He said to the woman, you're going to have to suffer during childbearing. And to the man, you're going to sweat. You're going to have to do some work.
Amen.
All because of the decision that was made by Adam and Eve. And they tried to pawn it off and say, well, the snake did it. This one said, well, my wife did it. Or Eve told me about it. You can try and dish it off all you want, but you have to make your own decision. You have to make your own choices in life. Genesis 22nd chapter. And begin right there at the first verse.
And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham.
God tempted Abraham
and
what?
said unto him, Abraham.
And he said,
behold, here am I.
And then what?
And he said, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac.
I want you to take, Abraham, I want you to take Isaac, thine only son, and do what?
Whom thou lovest.
And I know that you love him,
Yes.
Abraham. What did it say?
And get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him therefore a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
So he wanted Abraham to go and offer Isaac, his only son, as a burnt offering, as it said, upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee. Church, when God commands you to do something,
all right,
will you doubt him?
All right, listen.
Or will you trust him? Look at read the 7th verse. It says what?
And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father.
So they started going up the mountain, and Isaac said, Father, what?
And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood.
We got the fire. We got the wood.
But where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
But we missing something, Dad. I don't see no lamb for the burnt offering. So what are we going to do, Dad? And what did he say?
And Abraham said, My son.
Abraham said to Isaac, My son.
God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering.
God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. How many of you all know that God will provide? Huh? It doesn't matter how big the problem may be, how little it may be. God is able to provide. I was encouraged. There was my wife's best friend that she had went out to college with. Her dad had took a turn for the worse, had gotten real ill, and these were some praying people. And she said in the funeral service, she said that we were praying for him, and she said, you know, when his death came about, it didn't discourage us, because it's not that God couldn't do, it's just that he didn't do. It's not that God could not have healed our father, it's just that he didn't. So we don't doubt, as we were talking about earlier. Do you doubt God, or do you trust him? So as Abraham said, God, my son, will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. And what did it say?
So they went both of them together.
And
they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood.
And
Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife.
Imagine, church, your only son, your only child, and being told by God, I want you to offer him up as a burnt offering. So you take your child up there because you're trusting in God.
Yes.
And you put your child down on there, and first of all, your child asks you the question, Dad, where is the lamb? Where's the lamb at that's supposed to be the burnt offering? Son, God will provide. So he lays his son down there, and he holds the knife up, and is getting ready to go down. What does it say?
And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham.
Abraham, Abraham.
And he said, Here am I.
Has his hand up, ready to come down. Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I.
Yes.
And he said what?
And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad.
Don't touch that lad. Don't touch him. And what did he say?
Neither do anything unto him.
But
now I know that thou fearest God.
Now I know, Abraham, that you fear God. How many of you all fear God?
Oh, yes.
Huh? Now I know, Abraham, that you fear God. Seeing what?
Seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
And what?
And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked. And behold, behind him.
What?
A ram caught in a thicket by his horns. A ram caught in a thicket by his horns.
Church,